If you own a condo right now in Vancouver, you may be feeling stuck. Since 2022, condo sales have dropped 37%. And for those banking on that appreciation to move forward into an upsize is starting to crash out because of days on market and the drop in condo pricing as a whole. But what if I told you that didn't need to be the case? There's an interesting article that we're going to be diving into, the psychology of home buyers and sellers, what's really going on in the condo market, and some strategies that you can employ to help you if your dream is to upsize in this market, which I think is a perfect one to do so. The article that I'm referencing here is a BNN Bloomberg one that I don't really agree with. It is quite negative. It's stating that there's a lot of fear in the marketplace, and I don't think buyers should be in a place of fear, but we're going to break all that down here shortly. So right off the top, you can see with the headline, kind of stuck. Weak condo market means tough choices for potential move up buyers. As you scroll down here, I'm going to read a little bit of some of these excerpts so you can get a glance of what's going on in this article, and then we can break it down a little bit further. So it states that while optimism is building in some parts of Canada for a rebound in the real estate market, condominium dwellers wanting to move up to a larger space face tough choices amid little sign of improvement for the segment. Cities like Toronto and Vancouver have seen condo sales drop off, if not stagnate in recent years, following a rush of new supply opening up and plummeting investor demand. And while that for sure is 100% true, and what we're seeing in the marketplace is essentially if you've bought from 2019 onward, there's a high likelihood that you are likely going to be losing money on your condo purchase specifically. Of my last 8 listings, there's only 3 of these properties where people are going to be in the black in that 2019 and newer age range in terms of those property pricing. So, you need to understand where we are in the market. And what I find that when people are getting into the market as a whole, they are rushed. They don't do their due diligence. They want to list now. They don't do the discovery calls and the consultations. And then once they get on market or are about to get on market after they have their heart set on it and they run the numbers, it does not look good. And that's why it's so important to really understand where your strategies, your exit points, your entry points need to be, and where your property price is. In that 2019 to 2020 bubble, there are also still a lot of buyers who are in multiple offers. And if you've been in a multiple offer scenario the last couple of years, it just makes it so much harder to make those margins and be in a positive equity position. Moving on here, it states for some regions that marks a divergence from the overall real estate picture. Many industry watchers are now forecasting a turnaround in the housing market in the coming months after the first half of 2025 was plagued by economic uncertainty related to tariffs and job losses. I completely disagree with that. I do not think there's going to be a turnaround in the housing market in the coming months. I have been saying this for a while. I think it's going to be 12 to 18 months before we're starting to see a turnaround. It could be up to 2 years. It could be for the whole Trump presidency as he continues to float these massive tariffs against us, which is leading to job loss and economic uncertainty. So with that being said, it's not all doom and gloom. There is a ton of opportunity out there. And yes, if you think about it, if condo pricing is dropping, we know that the detached and the attached segments are also dropping as well. And this is where you can really take advantage of the difference. So if you say have a $500,000 condo and it's dropped 10%, you've lost 50 grand. If there's a detached home at $1 million and it's lost 10%, that's $100,000 right now. So you've just made $50,000 of the difference. So I think it's really important of understanding where you're wanting to go. Because if you're entering into a segment that is soft, you're going to be able to take advantage of the difference and a soft market. And because the price point is going to be higher, that difference is going to be more substantial for your purchase. So there needs to be definitely a strategy in place. If you have bought a property and you're going to be in a massive negative position, I would say 100% you're going to want to hold on and not put your property on market. But if the difference isn't that much, or it's less than what you thought it would be, or if you're in a positive equity position, I think it's a no-brainer to get into the upsizing market right now. I have multiple clients that are doing that. We had a property that we just secured, and it was originally listed at 5.3 million. This was a detached home, and we ended up securing it for 3.8. We also closed on another property where a penthouse in Vancouver, one of the last ones in the last couple of years, sold for 1.7, and we closed it for 1.35. So you can see that if there is such great value there, if you're a seller and you're maybe losing 50 grand on your home, but you can gain it with a really good transaction if you know what you're looking for, that's where the real benefit is making it up on that buy side. As we continue on here, there's another comment here where it says, it's left those looking to leave condo life behind and upgrade to a house in a tough spot. Sell now at a lower price than anticipated value or wait out the storm. So I don't understand, Victor Tran here is a mortgage real estate expert, says they're kind of stuck. If everybody's losing money, and it's no different than the detached market or the attached market, you're actually winning because your overall purchase price is a lot smaller than somebody who's going to be losing 10 or 15 or 20% in terms of what they are looking at. So it's all a matter of relativity. You can't just look at one singular purchase or sale, especially if you have multiple properties. If you are looking to exit out completely, this is a horrible time to put your property in market. You need to wait that 12 to 18 to 24 months if you need that value. But if you are exiting out and entering into another one, you have to take into perspective both the buy and the sell, work the numbers back to see if it's something that makes sense. Victor Tran continues to say they hope to bank on the appreciation of the condo in the coming years so they can put that money out and use that as a down payment to upgrade to a larger home. But the money is just not there anymore. So again, that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Again, if we use that example of 10%, if you had a 10% gain on your 500,000 condo, you made 50 grand. If you had a 10% gain on the $1 million house you want to buy, that's 100,000. So now you've lost 50,000. So it's all relative, right? You can't look at it in terms of a singular purchase. You want to be upsizing, definitely in a market like this. So that's why I don't understand this article whatsoever, and I don't really agree with it whatsoever. Since 2022, condo apartment sales have dropped by 75% in the GTA and 37% here in Vancouver, from a report from CMHC. Meanwhile, inventories have more than doubled and prices fallen in those regions. So again, how can you say that you're stuck? How can you say that there's not a lot of selection when you're saying in this article that inventories have more than doubled? So you do have a lot of selection. We know that this is the most amount of selection that we've seen in over a decade. So as we go down the article here, there's some other things that don't make a lot of sense in terms of what they're saying and just creating a lot of fear in the marketplace when this should be a marketplace of pure opportunity. Moving down the article here, the National Housing Agency said the condo market is expected to remain weak as completions remain near record levels and demand remains subdued. It added there is little evidence to suggest price declines will quickly reverse given the national and global economic outlook. I've already put my points on that. I think we are all in agreement that there's not going to be a huge turnaround in terms of price point anytime soon. As we get into some of the Greater Vancouver numbers here, specifically as the top were more related to GTA, the Greater Vancouver, there were 1,040 sales of condo apartments last month, a 16.5% decrease compared with June of 2024. This was a steeper year-over-year decline relative to sales of detached homes, which were down 5.3% from June of 24, while sales of attached homes were up 3.7%. Tran continues on here and states that it is a scary time for people looking to upgrade to a larger home due to the risks involved in selling their current property, such as the possibility that finding a buyer could take much longer than hoped. While he said it's safer to sell first and then make an offer on a new property to buy, that also comes with the risk of not finding a property in time to move. A lot of people are wondering, like, okay, when are we going to hit the bottom? When are we going to see some recovery and confidence put back into the market? When are we going to start seeing things turn around? No one knows, said Tran. So this is where I just don't understand the belief and why this article is so negative. If we're at a bottoming of the market, if we know that inventory is so high, this is ideally the time that you want to upsize. When the market is hot, and this is what it seems that this author and Tran is calling for, is that you should be looking to upsize in a hot market where properties are moving quickly, pricing is sky high, there's multiple offers. That is not the time to make a move if you're upsizing, because what's going to happen, you're going to have to rush so fast to get into a property. You're going to have to overpay for that property likely. You're going to have to make decisions quickly. You're not going to have favorable terms, and then you're going to lose out on that difference. If everything is going up 10%, 5%, whatever that metric is, you're going to lose on that difference, where this is the perfect upsizing market. You want to downsize when it's hot, you want to upsize when it's slow. And in terms of, it's safer to sell first. Obviously in this market, because we know that pricing is quite sensitive, I'm recommending all my clients to put their property on first, because you don't want to offer on something, then go to sell your home and you have no idea what it's going to sell for. And we don't have a barometer because we don't have a lot of sales data, because sales activity is down as well. You just don't want to put yourself in a position. So there has to be a strategy in place and parameters set of what the plan is moving forward. So if you are looking to sell first and then buy, what we would do is we would look for closing dates, ideally between 3 to 4 months. We'd also have to have some strategies in place of, if your home sold for a good price and someone wanted to close quickly on it, what would that look like for you? If you're in a positive equity position, maybe that allows you to find a furnished rental for a couple months. Maybe you can move in with your parents. It depends on your family size. But if we're talking here specifically for condos, usually this is a single person, maybe just a couple. You can crash with parents or maybe some friends for a little while you need to find a place. Or if you're in a positive equity position, you can take some of that money from the sales of your proceed, find a rental, take your time to get good value. So I wouldn't be looking at this market as a scary time. It is scary for those who are just making a singular property purchase, like an investor who's not re-entering the market. This is for sure a scary time. Pricing is all over the place. It can take a very long time. But for sellers, you need to be understanding the market. You need to understand that it is slow right now. It is soft, but properties that are priced right will move, and they can still move quickly. What we're seeing on the ground, properties are selling usually within 2 weeks or staying on market for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, right? So that's why, and you can see in the description below and in the banner, booking these discovery calls are so important. You need to have a good understanding of what exactly is going on in the market, and then you need to have a contingency plan, right? It doesn't have to be scary. Whenever there's a lot of panic, and there's a lot of panic in the environment right now, that is where you get a lot of opportunity. So that's what I have for you. Leave your comments below, and I'll see you on the next one.